이번 목적지는 북미 대초원의 작은 마을에 있는 작은 리버럴 아츠 대학입니다. 미국 내 리버럴 아츠 대학 중에서 꾸준히 상위권에 오르는 곳이죠. 바로 그리넬 칼리지입니다. 숨겨진 아이비 30곳 중 하나인 그리넬은 US 뉴스 앤 월드 리포트에 따르면 1988년 이래로 미국 리버럴 아츠 칼리지 중에서 꾸준히 25위 안에 들고 있습니다. 그리넬은 치열한 학업, 혁신적 교육, 사회 정의에 대한 열정으로 잘 알려져 있죠. 또한 그리넬은 풍부한 자원을 갖춘 교육기관으로 미국 리버럴 아츠 칼리지 중에서 6번째로 높은 학생 수 대비 기부금을 보유하고 있습니다. 이 기부금이 있어서 그리넬은 능력 중심 입학을 실시하고 상당한 학업 장학금을 제공해 사회 경제적 다양성을 증가시킬 수 있었죠. 프린스턴 리뷰는 그리넬을 학자금 지원 부문 6위, 강의 경험 부문 7위, 교수 평가 부문 5위, 학생 정치 활동 부문 8위에 선정했죠. 그리넬 칼리지에 대해 더 자세히 알아볼 준비 되셨나요? 함께 가시죠. 저는 미국 미시간 대학교에서 경제학을 공부하며 유학생활을 시작한 이현진입니다. 여러분과 함께 미국에서의 대학생활을 엿보며 학생과 교직원을 직접 만나 더 깊은 이야기를 들어보려고 합니다. 미국 명문 대학들을 탐방할 준비가 되셨나요? 그럼 출발합니다. 그리넬 칼리지는 아이오와주 그리넬이라는 작은 도시에 자리하고 있습니다. 인구가 9,000명이 조금 넘는 그리넬은 관광 명소는 아니지만 그리넬 칼리지 학생의 20%는 해외에서 모여듭니다. 이 숨은 보석을 더 알아보고 싶어서 그리넬 동문이자 입학처 수석 부처장인 그레이스 로이드 부처장님을 만나보았습니다. Hi Grace, good to meet you.
Hi Emily, it's nice to meet you too.
So, along with being the Senior Assistant Director of Admission, I hear you're also Grinnell alumni.
Yeah, I ended up attending, falling in love with it, working in admission as a student worker, and then I ended up applying for the job and getting it, and I've been here ever since.
That's great. What makes Grinnell such a special place for you?
Grinnell is a top-tier liberal arts college in the United States. We are ranked number 13 in national liberal arts colleges by US News and World Report. And fun fact, it's only undergraduates here. So the fact that we are ranked number 7 for undergraduate teaching, I think says a lot. We are 7th in the nation for per capita PhD production. Grinnell is definitely a school that has a history of social justice, and it's a school that our current students are aware of and constantly pushing forward this idea of making a better future. And so I think there's just a lot of beautiful ways that our students are finding to continue helping others, and also ways that the school is constantly working to help others through the multitude of ways that they connect with our local community. If you're looking for a school that will support you from day one and will help you get to that next step, Grinnell really does that. We have a $2 billion endowment. We meet 100% of demonstrated financial need for all admitted students to Grinnell. So it invests in the students with internships, with study abroad offerings, with course-embedded travel, with research, which is a huge component of the Grinnell education, and you can get funded for it. Not every school can do that. When it comes to all those different opportunities that students are hoping for from college, you actually can get really accessibly here. Grinnell also has a unique program for students that are interested in engineering. So, fun fact, Grinnell does not have an engineering major, but we do have a 3-2 engineering program. It's basically an opportunity for a student to get 2 degrees, one a Bachelor of Arts from Grinnell College, and then one from another institution that we partner with. Those schools are Columbia University, Caltech, Rensselaer Polytech, and then Washington University in St. Louis. So a student spends 3 years at Grinnell College and then transfers to this other institution for 2 years.
컬럼비아 대학교 진학을 선택한 그린의 졸업생 조이스 손 씨를 만나볼 텐데요. 조이스 씨는 공학관리 체계 학위를 받고 졸업해서 현재는 금융기관 심사원으로 일하고 있죠. 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요. 손민정입니다. 초대해 주셔서 정말 감사합니다.
So tell me, why did you decide to do the 3-2 program?
As I was studying econ in Grinnell, I got more interested in financial engineering, like operations research, and wanted to learn more about it. So that's why I decided to pursue my degree in Bachelor of Science as well. So there are required courses for the 3+2 program. You have to take specific science courses and you have to complete all your major course credits within 3 years at Grinnell. So it is pretty challenging, but it was a very worthy experience for me as well.
How did Grinnell prepare you for the program at Columbia?
I think my 3 years at Grinnell really helped me to build the foundations for econ. It really helped me developing critical thinking, and that really helped me to build my intellectual curiosity. The job that I'm at right now, I applied for that through the Grinnell career website. So basically I got this job because of Grinnell. Grinnell has great networking opportunities, and so the really diverse people that you meet in Grinnell has been a really strong asset for me throughout my career and also my life as well.
Grace, tell me about Grinnell student body.
We are a school that is incredibly diverse. 20% of our students are international, making us one of the most internationally diverse colleges in the United States. It is just an incredible place for students who are interested in academic freedom, trying out different departments, and being able to truly have support from their very first day on campus and all the different realms that they can go into post-graduation.
Yeah, I've heard Grinnell has an open curriculum. Can you tell me more about that?
Open curriculum is a type of curriculum style where a student will have minimal education requirements or general education requirements or a core curriculum required of them. And for Grinnell, it's called an individually advised curriculum. The reason behind that is Grinnell is famous for its advising program. Every single student from their first day on campus gets 3 different advisors, and one of them is an academic advisor that works with the student and basically helps them choose their classes, declare their major, make sure that they're on track to graduate within 4 years, which is very important, and is also there to help them in their transition to college. We have students coming from all different locations, all different parts of the world in the United States, and we want our students to be able to feel comfortable in this environment because it is new.
매년 캠퍼스에서 열리는 500여 개의 무료 행사부터 미국 전역과 해외를 아우르는 3,000개 이상의 인턴십 기회까지 그린ell 칼리지에 오는 학생들은 실습 기회가 부족할 일이 없죠. 이런 체험적 학습을 추구하는 학부는 그레그 졸리 교수님이 그린ell 과학실험실을 개편하는 데에도 중요한 역할을 했습니다. Hi, Leslie. Tell me a bit about your academic journey that led you to Grinnell.
When I went to college, we did a lot of what I call cookbook labs, which were just following instructions, and you'd either get the result you were supposed to or you wouldn't. And it seemed like things were done. It was kind of fun to play in lab, but it wasn't intellectually that interesting. And then when I had the opportunity to do research, I learned how exciting it was and that you didn't know. And so working at Grinnell has been great because I got the opportunity to address that directly. And I contributed to development of our curriculum, which we call Doing Science. So even from the very first biology class at Grinnell, students are actually designing and executing their own experiments so they can have that thrill. And after only one course, really understand what they're getting into if they want to study in the life sciences. And as a result, our students are extremely well qualified for graduate school.
그린ell 리언이라고도 하는 그린ell 학생의 51%는 졸업 후 10년 이내에 상급 학위를 땁니다. 실제로 2016년도 졸업생들은 현재 하버드 대학교, 스탠퍼드 대학교, 캠브리지 대학교, 노스웨스턴 대학교 등에서 상급 학위 과정을 밟고 있죠.
Our approach to inquiry in our biology curriculum has emerged as a national model. And so I've consulted with several other schools to help them be able to have this experience where students get to do science. We've learned that that makes students better students, it improves student success, and they're learning what's really relevant.
How else has Grinnell given you opportunities for innovation?
One of the things I like about being at Grinnell is I get to work closely with faculty in all different fields. And through some of these activities, I've met and collaborated with an anthropologist, American Studies professor, and we developed a course called Racing Through Genetics, where we looked at how racial ideologies have evolved and impacted how people deploy categories of race. So another thing that's really fun about co-teaching this course is when we disagree. We talk about our arguments from our points of view, and the students really appreciate that modeling. We also model for them when we don't know things. It's very vulnerable as a professor, but I think it's also important to model for students how we learn.
I love the idea of professors learning alongside students. Speaking of, what are Grinnell students like?
Most Grinnell students are neat because they bring their whole selves and enrich our community. We do have a social justice mission, and so a lot of students are very interested in equity and willing to question themselves. They are dedicated, they are brilliant, they really prioritize their learning, and it's delightful.
그런데 그리넬은 어떻게 미래의 그리넬리언을 선발할까요? 그레이스 부차장님에게 자세히 들어봤습니다. So Grace, tell me about the application process.
Applying to Grinnell, we try to make super streamlined. We are free to apply to, we have no supplemental essays, and we are a Common App school. We do offer interviews. We do require 2 letters of recommendation. If a student wants to submit something that they're proud of, a piece of writing, a research abstract, they're welcome to do that too, whatever they think will help strengthen their application. Grinnell is a highly selective institution. I always also encourage students to be in contact with us, request those interviews, send us an email, because making those steps to show your interest in us is an important thing that a student can do to help represent themselves on their application and show that they really are in love with this institution as well.
I like that approach. Tell me a bit about the students here. What are they like?
Grinnell is a school that is very self-selecting. We're in a small town. It's an amazing community here, but it's definitely a place where you don't wind up here by accident. It is an intentional choice, and I think that is such an important distinction. The students that come here want to attend Grinnell College. They're excited about this experience. They're jumping into it 150%, and I think that's really important.
저는 그리넬리언을 직접 만나보고 싶어서 생화학 전공 3학년인 좌영서 씨를 만나 이야기를 나눴습니다. 한국에서 온 유학생인 좌영서 씨는 대학에 지원하기 전에 미국에 와서 고등학교를 다녔죠. 영서 씨는 그리넬의 어떤 점에 끌린 걸까요? 안녕하세요. 만나서 반갑습니다.
네, 안녕하세요. 만나서 반갑습니다.
So Shirley, what brought you to Grinnell?
I was interested in liberal arts colleges because of its small-sized student-to-faculty ratio, and I found about Grinnell. One thing that stuck out to me was that Grinnell had a high percentage of international students. I went to its website and I found about IPOP, which not a lot of colleges have. IPOP is a 1-week pre-orientation program just for international students, so that really stood out to me since it shows that Grinnell really cares about international students and the diversity that they bring. During the school year, we have big events that OISA hosts, which is the Office of International Student Affairs. And we have this food bazaar where students cook food from their home country. And I think that's a really nice opportunity to experience new cultures.
What have you been involved in outside the classroom?
So Cultural Attaché program is a program where you visit high school, middle school, elementary schools in Grinnell. It's a fun way to share cultures so that students there could experience them. And I cooked them a Korean dish.
What dish did you make?
I made pajeon for them.
Ooh, did they like it?
Yeah, they loved it so much.
That's wonderful. So, how have you changed since being at Grinnell?
I think I became much more open-minded and accepting. When I used to meet a person, I would first assume how that person would be like, but I think those really went away as I met more people at Grinnell.
It is such a diverse place. When you are here, it does not feel like you are just in a small town. Students are coming from all over, speaking different languages, representing completely different identities and backgrounds, and they're here. You can come from Beijing, you can come from New York City, you can come from Los Angeles, you can come from Seoul, and you can be here and you will find a sense of community.
인류학을 가르치는 차비에르 에스칸델 교수님은 그리넬에서 공동체 의식을 느꼈습니다. 교수님은 유럽과 남미의 이민과 다국적주의를 이해하고자 수많은 데이터를 활용해 연구하고 있습니다. 이곳 그리넬에서 다양한 학과와 학생, 교수와 팀을 이루어 이 데이터를 분석하고 있죠. Hello, Xavier. Tell me about yourself and what you do at Grinnell.
I'm the director of DAZZLE, that stands for Data Analysis and Social Inquiry Lab. We help with the logistic support for pedagogical needs that faculty might have. We also find students that match really nicely with faculty in terms of research projects. And the third thing that we do in DAZZLE is to work for institutional research in terms of marketing needs or the development and alumni office, all sorts of things that are just for the institution itself.
It seems like there's so much data out there. So how do you organize that in a way that makes sense for people?
We have large quantities of data, but sometimes you can get lost in this huge amount of information. So that's when this notion of data visualization comes into place. Sometimes it's not so much the data that you have, but how can you convey the message? I think that's kind of a principal philosophical approach that we have in DAZZLE. But of course, then you have to execute these ideas. So luckily in DAZZLE, we have a very interdisciplinary team. We tend to hire student mentors with very good coding skills, but we always try to kind of encourage students that also double major in political science and sociology and anthropology. So we have these very different types of knowledge that really translate really well in what we do. These students are truly collaborators. They're very invested in what they're doing. I'm very proud of the work that we do preparing these students.
You're also an anthropology professor. How does this perspective on data interpretation overlap with your research on migration?
I always think of the research process as an ongoing process. There is always something else that you could do with the data that you have. But that's a very healthy, I think, outcome of any research project when you come up with new inquiries about the social world. I think that there is something to say about searching and talking and going to places, right? And thinking about how you might contribute to these communities. I think that my work is not only academic. I think we've learned a lot on how to support the migrant community and the positive impacts and synergies that occur because of these returnees. Reforms might occur because of these and improvements in democracy and so forth.
사회 정의를 추구하는 그리넬의 열정은 진부한 수준을 넘어섭니다. 초창기에 그리넬은 노예들을 자유의 땅으로 운송하는 지하철도의 중요한 기착지였습니다. 오늘날에는 그리넬 상, 교도소 내 리버럴 아트 프로그램, 지역사회 봉사, 평화봉사단 국제활동 참여 등의 프로그램을 통해 그리넬리언의 사명이 캠퍼스 밖까지 영향을 미치고 있죠.
What we do is not just something that occurs in the academic circles, but the knowledge that we produce has an impact in the real world. I think that that's very at the center of Grinnell.
I think the heart of Grinnell is diversity, being open-minded, seeing the world in different perspectives.
The culture, the community, it really gives you an eye-opening experience. That bond between the faculty members and also the student body. It is a really special experience.
It's not just about getting a good job and being done. It's also about going to a school where people are putting the energy into helping you figure out what is success to you.
We know we have great students. We want our students to succeed.
Grinnell is fundamentally a very dynamic, interesting, lively, epistemic community.
I am proud to be a Grinnellian.